Today we're joined by letterer and owner of Ghostglyph Studios, Taylor Esposito, who has done lettering for many DC comic series such as Batman, Red Hood and the Outlaws, Constantine, and much, much more. Taylor, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us.
I don't know. What else am I going to do? I'm stuck inside the house.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have to go to work.
I can't. I would probably rather go to work than sit inside all day. So we wanted to bring you on the show. We've gotten to talk to a lot of different artists and creators, but you are the first letterer we have actually had, and it is something that we both try to talk a lot about because it is something that doesn't get the proper appreciation, in our opinion, in the comics world.
Well, I mean, thank you for that. As a letterer, we don't get a lot of attention, and anything that can give us more attention is great. So
we are. We try to give everyone proper accolades. So we are actually pretty hard-hitting journalists as well. So we always like to start out our interviews with the rough and tumble kind of questions.
All right, here we go. I'm ready.
What's your favorite sandwich?
Ah, damn it. All right. Favorite sandwich. All right, so this is like this local deli near me, and there's this thing called a Belly Buster. There's this giant sub with ham, peppered ham, gabagool, salami, provolone, oil, vinegar, lettuce, tomato, onion. It's gigantic. It's about the size of an arm. And I don't get it often, but when I do, it's like, all right, this is treat day. But to be fair, I love all sandwiches. They're all great.
So we have not gotten to talk about gabagool yet on the show. Can you explain what gabagool is?
I can't explain it. It's just delicious, and you should eat it. Let's put it that way.
It's. I think the real name is capicola, but it's just like I worked in a deli in North Jersey for a while.
Pronunciation is gabagool. I don't know why, but
I worked in a deli in Madison in North Jersey for a while. So gabagool is a cornerstone for New Jersey. If you ever watch The Sopranos, then it's a
then it's gabagool or whatever.
Yeah, gabagool.
All right. On to our second question. How did you get into the industry?
So that was completely by accident. I was just out of college and was looking for work, and one of my friends who I went to college with had already been working at Marvel for a while. He was like, hey, they need some temp work for a couple days. You want to come in? I was like, yeah, sure. Work and Marvel? Why not? That was the early days of the Marvel Unlimited, like before it was even a thing. Like we were just setting everything up to go online. So I couldn't even tell people what I was doing. I was like, yeah, I'm working at Marvel doing something.
Wow.
And then like a couple days turned into a couple weeks, and a couple weeks turned into a couple months. And then before I knew it, I was assistant production manager to the bullpen. So that was cool.
Oh, so if you don't mind me asking, what did you go to school for?
Graphic design.
Okay. All right. I was wondering if it was like you went for history and now you're just a letterer.
No. I mean, I was looking to do something with design. I didn't know what. And then I just kind of fell into it. But yeah, I ended up staying there until about 2011. Wow. It's almost 10 years ago. I'm old. And then that's when the big layoffs happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And then that made me say, hey, I got to do something else. Picked up lettering.
Oh, that is a super interesting way to get into this whole thing.
Yeah. As I like to say, can I like cursing or...
Yeah, you can say the fuck word. We say it a lot.
No, I don't want to say that one, but I fell ass backwards into comics. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
I mean, that's the best way to fall into comics.
This is true.
Yeah, and you're still here, so that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
Also true.
So, one of our goals is to get new readers into comics. So, for the listeners who are new to the comics world, how would you describe what you do? Like, what would you describe lettering as?
I might get a little philosophical, if you don't mind. I have a couple ways to describe it. First, I like to use a musical analogy. So I consider it like drumming. It just helps set the tempo of the book. Like, you might not notice it if it's like perfect, but the second it's off, you're like, something's wrong here. You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense.
It's the closest way to explain to someone who's never actually held a comic before, And the other way, the more obvious way, is like the sound design. Like the same way a Foley artist can help you understand what's going on in the world of whatever movie or show you're watching, with their manufactured sounds, either recorded or improvised live on the set. It's the same thing, but we do it visually with word balloons and tone and inflection and sound effects and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. It's always amazing when people give like philosophical answers to this stuff, because I never really think about it in that way. But dude, when lettering is off, you're like, ugh.
You might not know that it's the lettering. You might not ever realize it, but it's like something's wrong here. Yeah,
it's subtle.
It breaks up the flow.
But what you said made so much sense.
I mean, after almost 10 years of this and a lot of, sitting alone by myself working, I come up with these things.
All right. So what is the process like for lettering?
Pure chaos.
That's about right. That sounds about right.
No, seriously. The way it works is, so, you're assigned the book, whatever, and you'll get a package from your editor or writer if it's a create-your-own project. With the script, the art, like usually I work on inks because I'm working at the same time as a colorist. I also prefer the inks because the colors are a little distracting to me. And maybe placements for where lettering should go. I don't really need them, but sometimes it's good to just ID people. Like, let's say I'm working on, some project I've never heard of. It's somebody's create their own thing, and I don't know who any of the characters are. It's always good to just be like, oh, that's that guy, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So from there, I prep the book template, like if it's an issue I previously worked on, I'll just grab it from the last issue. If it's a new series, I'll develop something, I'll pick out fonts that match the tone of the book. I'll design balloons that kind of fit the world that we're in, that kind of stuff. Maybe pick out some font choices for sound effects to use down the line. If it's something like a superhero book, I might design a special caption, that kind of thing. So once that's done, just place the art in the script, in the template rather, grab the script and get moving. Go, go, go. And then usually I have like anywhere from a day to a week to turn the book around. So it's kind of rush. I'll get it in. I'll wait for some notes from the editorial staff, do a couple of rounds of changes, like little things like, oh, this doesn't make sense, let's rewrite it. Or, this could be a comma instead of a period. And then we send it off to the printer. So.
And how long does that process usually take you?
Well, like I said, it could take anywhere from a day to a week. It depends how fast someone needs it. Depends on my schedule. Sometimes I'll get two people, hey, I need this right now. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Fight for it. Another question this one's out of the ether. You said you spend a lot of time sitting alone. Do you listen to music while you letter or design? And what do you listen to?
Really anything. Luckily I've got a nice studio in my basement, so I've got a TV here. I've got the computer with the music on. For a long while, it was either Parks and Rec endlessly on in the background or The Simpsons. Now it's been switching up. Sometimes I just have the oldie station on. My dog likes listening to oldies. Don't ask me why. So I just leave it on to relax.
It's all about the dog.
It sure is. Sometimes I find myself working just to buy him kibble. But yeah, it depends on what I'm in the mood for. If a friend was featured on a podcast or something, I might listen to that. It's something just to drown out the silence.
Mm-hmm. Jake, sorry, I interrupted the flow, but
yeah, no, it's fine. What is your guilty pleasure?
Cooking. I like to cook just to, experiment and try new things. I like to cook for friends. I feel like it's a way to like, hey, I like you. Here's something. And I just generally like food. So, I use it to relieve stress, but I can still be kind of creative, like, I don't feel like working right now, but I've got this piece of lamb in the fridge. Let's do something with it.
I understand that feeling. I bake.
I can't do bake. Baking is science, and I suck at science.
Yeah.
What is your dish? Like, what is the one people know you for?
Apparently, it might be my leg of lamb.
Oh.
Yes, I do it on the grill. It doesn't matter what time of year. I've done it for Christmas before.
A little chilly. A little chilly.
Yeah, a little chilly, but it's okay.
I mean, people who grill all the time. My dad grills out in the rain.
I will find an excuse to do it. And then I make my own homemade tzatziki sauce. I'll probably pair it with like Brussels sprouts or something. It's nice.
Oh. That sounds so fancy too.
Yeah.
So, as lettering comes after the inks or the writing of the script and things like that, do you have any difficulties that you run into? Like, is there, as you mentioned earlier, like sometimes there's a time crunch or an artist maybe doesn't leave enough room for a word bubble. How do you go about dealing with that?
I mean, those things always happen. It's always a situation. Usually the problem is like just the delays at the start of the process we can't make up at the end. Like let's say the schedule says inks will be done by the 20th, but your artist gets sick, family issues, whatever, that moves up 10 days. My schedule doesn't also move 10 days. It kind of stays where it is. Usually to make, deadlines. I think we all know at a certain point, books are non-returnable. So if they don't make their deadline, someone's stuck with the bill and it's not anyone, so we have to just make those deadlines no matter what. It really makes for a high stress gig. So anyone out there that wants to be a letterer, this might not be it for you if you can't handle stress. I also think it's one of the hardest things to do in comics because it's not really subjective, like it's either right or wrong. I mean, you have a little bit of leeway, but bad lettering is bad lettering and no amount of style will fix it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, my Kubert students this year, we're in the second half of the year where they're just doing books and just trying things out. And they're all like, I didn't realize how hard this was. How do you do this? Like, like they're just like, you're a sorcerer. I'm like, I just know it, like after so much time doing it. And I was always kind of like a visual person with type. So it kind of works for me, but it doesn't necessarily work for everybody. But they're just like, I don't want to do this, but I respect the hell out of you. But with the space thing, when you were saying like not enough space for word balloons or something, I try to make it work, but every so often I'll just say, hey, editor man or writer woman, I can't fit this. Can we like cut it down or do something with it?
So if there isn't enough space for the words you're looking to put in, have you ever found any creative ways around that?
I mean, I try to make it work. I might move text to the panel before, panel after if it's appropriate. I might just try to frame everything around it, with the text. It's just whatever you can do to work. I remember one time I had a panel. There were 7 people on the panel. Only 2 of them were talking, and I ended up covering everybody but the 2 people talking because there was just so much to fit in there. But yeah, I try as often as possible not to kick it back because, in a sense, everything that's been written is valid. At least I try to think so. So it's got to make it in the book somehow. I've actually had some of my editors who jokingly called me the Scotty of the books because I can produce the miracles.
So I know that you run Ghostglyph Studios. What's it like to run your own studio and do all that?
I mean, it's pretty chill. It's basically just me working out of my basement. I do have some people who help me out from time to time. Like when I was on staff at DC, I worked with this other letterer, Desi Cienti. And, whenever I'm swamped or I have just too much stuff going on, he comes on and gives me a hand with books. And I try to take on interns whenever I can. They help me out, kind of move things along a little faster, and I'm giving them the work experience they like. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's basically just like any other job, just I'm doing it in my house.
Nice.
Under a really, really cool name, too.
Yeah, that just worked out perfectly. Like, I was trying to think of a name for this, and I'm like, well, what do I do that kind of reflects me and what I do and all this stuff? And then I got to thinking, well, letters in Illustrator are called glyphs. And I really like Halloween. Ghost. There we go. Done.
Oh, boo, scary, ghost. Done.
That's the abridged version. That took about 6 months. And the ghost took another 6 months to come up with.
That's a year's worth of work.
Yeah, just in developing a studio name.
I mean, you got a great one. So I think it worked out real well. So what is it like to work on an indie title versus Big Two?
There's give and take. I like the structure of a Big Two thing because, all right, February 1st, you're working on Red Hood, and March 1st, you're working on Red Hood, and it's steady, and it's always going to be there. With the indie stuff, it's a little more loose because, there's not as many corporate deadlines to hit. So, sometimes you're like, oh, man, I did issue one of Finger Guns like 2 months ago. When's the next issue coming in? And it's like, oh, here it is, whenever you're ready, or here it is, we need it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mentioned to you that before this, I was doing a write-up for Vault, and I'm writing this, and I'm like, Taylor's name is in everything that I'm writing right now. So I added that question on the fly because it's like, I really want to know what the big difference is there. Has there been any indie titles that you've loved working on recently? Like anyone where you felt like you got to flap your wings?
Well, we just finished off No One Left to Fight, which was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. That was great because Aubrey was just like, here's what I want to do. Go kick ass. Actually, his go-to in our emails and scripts are always, what do you say? Taylor runs his Taylor magic or something like that, which is just carte blanche for me, which is great. So I've got that. I've got something that hasn't come out yet. I don't know if I can talk about it, but it's with the writer and art team, Jenna Wright and Carl Slominski. Secret project coming out. All I'll say is musically inclined, and let's leave it at that. I don't want to give too much away because then it's going to
Interesting. We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
My interest has peaked.
Then I think it was over a year ago now, but Friendo was fun because that was just like, let's do something different. Okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah, I was reading the concept for that book today, and I was like, whoa, this sounds out there.
It is definitely out there, and the balloon choice was not my idea. It was requested, and I'm like, I don't know if I can make this work. Mm-hmm. And then apparently, according to everybody, I delivered, so let's go with, it worked.
Yeah, you did it. Awesome. Great job.
I love everything I work on. There's hardly anything I really don't like, and it's maybe only one thing I'm not proud of, but sometimes we need money, so. And I'm not saying what it was.
Now I'm curious about that. Jake?
Mm-hmm. I was the one who asked the last question, Dan.
Oh, it's my fault. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It's your fault.
So what is a positive thing that you've been seeing in the comics world and industry that you'd like to see more of?
Well, I've been seeing a lot more people advocate for colorists and letterers. I'd like to see more of it still. I feel like sometimes with lettering, some people get talked up a lot and others don't. And it might just be because some people are more visible than others. But it's definitely better than it's been in any other decade. Like, people actually care who we are now, where, 20, 30, 40 years ago, maybe just the nerds like me who actually liked lettering knew who they were.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say we're celebrities, but it's nice to see that people care, at least they're interested in what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, one of my mentors, who was in charge of the DC lettering department, Sal Cipriano, I feel like nobody talks about him. And it's like, he's amazing. Like, why aren't more people talking about Sal? But I mean, that's one of those things where, like, he's not in the spotlight right now. What's he working on that people are seeing,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame. I feel like everyone's like, oh, letterers, and they've named the same 3 people. And it's like, yeah, but there's so many more guys doing so much awesome stuff. Let's not forget them.
Yeah. I think now with the rise of, like, social media and things like that, people are trying to advocate more for proper appreciation of, like, across the board. As I said, we're really trying to do that, especially bringing those names in front of, like, the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully agree with you that colorists and letterers deserve more credit. And you were actually suggested by Chris Sotomayor, who was on the show a couple months ago, and I got to have dinner with him in Philly. Fantastic colorist, but I'm meeting all of you guys.
Yeah, Chris is a great guy. I mean, I've known Chris probably about 10 years or so now, and he's always the first one to talk me up to people. He's always like, hey, use Taylor, go for Taylor, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is the nice thing. Like, there's so many people who don't owe you anything, who are willing to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to pay it forward. Like, I can't really help Chris back. Like, he's at a better place in his career than I am. But I always try to see, all right, I see this person needs help. Here, let me do what I can. Let me throw good work for you. Let me take you in on as an intern. Whatever you want,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love to hear stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's always interesting. But I think that kind of goes into our next question. And you've mentioned this earlier, but you're an instructor for the Kubert School. You talked about how your students feel. But how do you feel about teaching your craft?
I love it. I mean, it's funny because I went into my first year this year teaching. I see the students and I'm like, so I know you're all here to learn comics. I know you all want to be comic artists. You probably don't care about lettering. It's probably the furthest thing from your mind, but you have to do it. But by the end of this class, you will understand why it's important. Even if you never want to do it again, you will develop an appreciation for it and you will take care of your letterers.
Is there, or do you just teach lettering at the school?
Lettering and production. But I mean, production is one of those things where it's like a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So, we do a little bit of design, a little bit of formatting. We do some coloring in there. One of my I have a co-teacher in that class, and he'll cover like flatting and prepping files for your colors, things like that.
And sorry, I a little bit into the school just because I am curious about the whole thing. It's a physical place, right? Like you.
Yes, there is a building I go to every couple days.
It's not out of your basement.
No,
he's got to leave that.
Interesting. So, is there a dream project you would like to work on, or like a dream character you'd love to work with, like someone you want to letter that you have not gotten to touch yet?
Where do I start? So getting back to Carl, I'd love to do a Fantastic Four book with him. Mm-hmm. We're both huge Kirby fans, and we've talked about like, imagine if we could do a Kirby-esque FF on our own. The Question is a big one for me. I was actually pretty much begging to work on the recent series. I was like, that's the team and the book I'd want to work on.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get it. A big run on Batman or Detective would be great. I'm a big Batman fan. A G.I. Joe run. I'd love to do something young animal related. Gerard Way is like from the same area I am. And
Yeah.
you end up knowing a lot of the same people. Like one of my friends is like, I think he was roadie for them a couple years ago on a My Chem tour or something like that. So like, it's just one of those things like, oh, we're both from Jersey. We're from the same area. Would love to work on a series together. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Young Animal Stuff is funky too. So like that would be really cool.
I mean, really for me, anything DC is a bucket list for me. Mm-hmm. Like I was a huge DC fan growing up. For me, like, people of a certain age grew up with like the superpower stuff and everything. And it's like, we all know, Juan Luis Garcia Lopez's work. And like that for me is the DC universe. And I was like, oh man, if I could do one of his books, like,
Oh yeah.
And also maybe a Planet of the Apes series, since that's where I got my name from.
Huh.
Yeah, my nerd of a father named me after Charlton Heston.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Wow, that is awesome. Oh my God. You could letter all the words in the shape of bananas.
I can never hear the Planet of the Apes without thinking of the Simpsons Planet of the Apes musical.
Stop the Planet of the Apes, I want to get off.
Yeah. Dr. Zayas. I think the only reason I still have Disney Plus, other than it being free for a year, is because of The Simpsons. It's such a it's a classic.
Yeah.
Now I can't stop thinking about Dr. Zayas.
Zayas.
Oh, that's gonna be stuck in my head.
The piano. All right. Sorry. This turns into a Simpsons podcast.
All right. So here's my favorite question to ask. If you had to build a Rube Goldberg machine, what would be its purpose and what would be the thing that sets it off?
Goldberg machine. It probably uses to knock sense into people, just that old school Italian slap to the back of the head.
It's just a glove, just
like Mickey Mouse glove hand just slapped in the back of the head. What would set it off? My temper? I don't know. I freak out in a Donald Duck rage. I hit something and it makes it, slap the guy's head.
In a Donald Duck rage.
So pantsless.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a freelancer.
You work in your basement.
Who wears pants when I need to?
Exactly. That's the best part about working from home. The only problem is that I keep my windows fully open.
Yeah, you have a big window in that room.
So we always like to end our interviews on a question that is a question about a question. Is there ever anything that you want to talk about in interviews that no one ever asks you? Like, is there a topic you always just want to go off about that you never get a chance to? And can we facilitate that?
I mean, I guess like the difference between good and bad lettering. I feel like a lot of people don't know the difference and they let a lot of stuff slide. It's one of those things where I want to be like, no, this is bad. Stop praising it. It's not good.
How would you describe bad lettering?
It's so hard to like get into right now, but it's kind of like I'd have to show you something like, you see this? This isn't working, and here's why. And like say, all right, there's tangents on this page, and you're breaking the 3D plane and it doesn't make sense, or there's little things like that. Which on their own they might not be a problem that much. Like they're not great. I notice them because I'm looking for it. Mm-hmm. But when they're combined together, it's just like this doesn't make sense anymore. And a lot of times, like I was saying, like with the 3D plane, you have your background, your middle ground, your foreground. Even though the balloons are not part of the physical environment, they still have to exist in that environment. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing something where like the guy's in the foreground, but the balloon's covering him and it's behind something in the background, like it doesn't make sense. And your eyes are going to be like, you're not going to know why, but you're going to look at this and like, what is going on here? And then your brain explodes because you can't handle it.
Your head just explodes. That's just how it ends.
This is how it ends. Yeah, I mean, and then a new head pops up and says, oh, all better.
So, where can people find you online?
Oh, as long as you say, where can people find me? I don't want people to find me.
Yeah, can you give us we've already covered that. It's in your basement.
But where's my basement?
You got it
online. So you can find me at ghostglyphstudios.com. There should be a link to my email, my portfolio, all that kind of good stuff there. Facebook.com/ghostglyphstudios. Twitter at Taylor Espo, and Twitter and Instagram at Ghostglyph. Those are all the accessible places to find me. Just keep in mind the Twitter for Taylor Espo might get a little cursy. I get really aggravated a lot.
We are a not safe for work podcast.
Then it's cool. I drop F-bombs like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, it's normally me. It's normally my fault.
Yeah, no, I've tried to limit myself on it, but goddamn, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's why I keep the Ghostglyph stuff to exclusively work. The Taylor Espo one is a little bit more just like, this was bothering me today. I'm like, what's the guy from 60 Minutes that just rants about stuff?
The guy who sits at the desk cluttered full of stuff.
Yeah, the old man. Is it Andy Rooney?
No, maybe. Yeah, it is Andy Rooney.
Okay, that guy. Yeah, that's me on Twitter, basically.
He's got some eyebrows. Tell you what.
It's all about that eyebrow game, man.
Wow. Those are some eyebrows. Holy. So, sorry. It's one of those things where you get off a tangent. You're staring at a man's eyebrows for 4 hours.
I gotta look.
Are there any upcoming projects that we should be on the lookout for that aren't secrets?
It's hard to say stuff that's not secrets. I mean, the one I mentioned with Carl, obviously, Heavy from Vault is going to be coming out soon. Mm-hmm. I'm actually working on it now. It's like a lot of fun. A couple secret unannounced ones from Dynamite. That's all I can say for now.
Nice.
I think they'll be announced. One of them might be announced pretty soon.
Wait, Heavy like Max Bemis? Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That sounds
nice.
Max and Eric Donovan, Chris Peters coloring. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully something new at DC. DC editors, I'm here. Hello. I feel like that Simpsons gag where the little girl's on the rings. Hello, Mrs. Poppleforce. I'd like to get down now.
Old Gil. Old Gil needs some DC work. Yeah, so thank you for joining us. I will make sure to link everything in the episode description just so everyone can find you. And thank you for coming. So catch us.
A lot of fun.
Catch us next time. Next time, same bat channel. I screwed up.
Same bat time, bat channel.
Thanks, Jake.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
There we go.